Welcome back to my seller education series, where I hope to help homeowners sell their homes fast and for the highest price possible. In this third part, we'll be focusing on the costs involved in selling your home. Selling your home can be an exciting but challenging experience. Although you might be aware of some common costs involved in selling your home, there are often hidden costs that many people are unaware of unless they've sold a house before that can catch you off guard. In this video, I want to take you through some of the common costs involved in selling your house. So when it comes time for you to sell yours, you can be more prepared and avoid unpleasant surprises. Let's get started. Before getting into all the expenses, I first want to quickly identify the source of proceeds you'd expect to gain from the sale of your house. Of course, the obvious one is the purchase price, the money the buyer will be paying you for your house. But there are also some other sources of prorated funds that you would be entitled to a refund of for things you've paid for the entire year. And of course, if you sold your house in the middle of the year, then you'd be entitled to a refund for some of those for the time that you're not going to be in the house. Common ones would be homeowners association dues, taxes you paid for the entire year, and insurance costs that you paid for the entire year. If you're paying on a mortgage, then taxes and insurance are typically included in your payment and have already been prepaid for the year. So those are some sources of funds you'd expect to gain from the sale of your house. Now let's get into some of the expenses. Most people are aware that if you sell your house, you're going to have to pay off your mortgage. You could also have a second mortgage, such as a home equity loan or a down payment assistance loan. Those will have to be paid off too when you sell the house. Another common but expected fee would be the marketing fee you're paying the real estate company that's helping you sell your house. This would be commonly referred to as commission because it's based on the sale price of your home. When selling your house in Michigan, you are required to provide a title insurance policy, which is just what it sounds like. It's insurance that you are the person who holds legal title to the house and therefore are legally allowed to sell it. Next up would be the Michigan transfer tax, which is basically just a sales tax on real estate. The tax is assessed at a rate of $4.30 per $500 of sale price, or you can think of it as $8.60 per $1,000. The next item on the list, mortgage discount points, is technically a buyer expense. This is money paid to the lender to decrease the interest rate on the loan for the term of the loan. Sometimes sellers pay these discount points as part of the agreed upon purchase agreement. Next up, recording fees and document preparation fees. Recording fees are paid to the state or county as a fee for recording the documents of the transaction in their records. Document preparation fees are typically paid to the title or lender, and it's just what it sounds like. It's a fee paid to prepare the legal documents for the transaction. Home warranties can be purchased by either the seller or the buyer. Oftentimes, sellers will offer this as an incentive to attract more buyers to sell their home more quickly. If your property includes a well or septic tank, it is likely that the county or the town you live in is going to require you to inspect it before the sale of your home. If your buyer is obtaining an FHA or VA loan, it is likely that they'll be required to have an inspection on the home. This is typically a buyer expense, but like mortgage discount points, sometimes it's negotiated in the purchase agreement that the seller will pay this expense for the buyer. If the seller owes any special assessment taxes for the year or any delinquent taxes from previous years, those will have to be paid off out of the proceeds from the sale of the home. So the total cost for the seller in this example would be $126,215. If we subtract that from the $203,250 of gross proceeds, we get a subtotal net proceed of $77,035. Now I say subtotal because there could be a couple other sources of costs involved here for the seller, depending on when the house was sold. One of those could be possible water bill owed. If the most recent water bill hasn't been paid, that will have to be paid from the proceeds of the sale. The other possible cost is called occupancy. That is a cost incurred if the seller cannot be out of the house as of the day of the closing. On the day of the closing, the buyer technically owns the house. So sometimes the seller will have to pay the buyer a daily rent until they vacate the property. Sometimes occupancy is provided for free by the buyer, just depends on the market conditions. So in this example, I included $1,500 in occupancy based on $100 a day and the seller taking 15 days to get out of the house after closing. So if you consider that expense, then the final net proceeds due the seller in this example is $75,535. There are a couple of other possible expenses I want to bring up that are not included on the net seller sheet I just provided for you. One of those is the cost to bring your property up to city code. Many municipalities will require inspections prior to the sale of a property and also require that certain deficiencies with the house be repaired before the house can be sold. This is technically a seller expense, but sometimes this expense can be passed on to the buyer depending on the terms of the purchase agreement. The final possible hidden cost I'd like to bring up is not necessarily related to your specific property or the town you live in, and that's simply the cost to move. Sometimes people don't consider the cost of moving from their current place of residence to where they're going after they sell it. And if you're going to involve, say, a moving company, then those costs can be somewhat significant and something you'd want to factor into your budget. By being aware of these possible and hidden costs involved in the sale of your home, you can now be more prepared for what to expect and hopefully avoid any unpleasant surprises on closing day. Be sure to thoroughly review your expenses and consult with professionals to ensure a smooth and transparent transaction. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching and take care.